Let's get to a bright spot.
I'm doing all right, getting good grades. The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
So I saw this article in the Washington Post. That's a pretty left-wing outfit.
Course.
Yeah, owned by Jeff Bezos from Amazon, right? They wrote an article about all of the new first-time gun owners in America. The title of the article, Why Anti-Gun Americans Joined the Wave of New Gun Owners.
You know, I went to a gun show a few months back.
Did you?
And ammunition was nearly
Scarce.
non-existent.
Yeah, it's really hard to come up with ammunition because we've got so many new gun owners, and a lot of people are afraid that the Democrats are going to try and go after ammunition when their gun grabs fail. The Washington Post was interested in why so many people who bought guns in the past year have been very much anti-gun in the past. Here's a quote. In all his life, Jabril Battle was anti-gun. Then came the pandemic, the lockdown, the shortages, and a feeling that at any moment things could blow. Battle bought a Beretta. Somewhere between 20 and 40% of all gun sales last year, according to this article, were to people who had never owned a gun before.
Because sometimes making an argument, unless you have experienced what it actually is all about, it's academic for you.
Right. You don't really, you're not able to put yourself in someone else's position, so you judge them, and then it happens to you, you're like, ooh, I'm going to make that different decision.
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying that you have to have, you have to have lived everyone's life in order to understand where they're coming from.
You don't have to, but it takes empathy.
I'm just saying, it's like when we asked the folks on our July the 4th show, when was it that you realized that this country was exceptional, special, etc.? Many of them said that they remember that time, and it was when they went abroad.
Right.
Because then they had firsthand experience of how different it was in other countries.
And when they came back, that was when they went, ooh, gosh, this is so much better than what I was just dealing with.
So it may be similar for a lot of these folks who've been making these arguments about gun control and now feel differently.
Here's another quote from the article in the Washington Post. Shamika Thomas, a social worker in Newark, had always thought of guns as loud and dangerous, nothing she wanted anything to do with.
Oh, they are loud.
They describe her as a lifelong Democrat, a black woman living in Newark, New Jersey.
They can be dangerous.
She said, quote, I never felt like I would want to own a gun because of the damage I thought they do to people. But when I started feeling unsafe, all of that changed. She started feeling unsafe, and so she bought a gun.
I shouldn't say that guns are dangerous. It's the operator. It's the gun owner.
That's right.
The person
a gun is a tool.
Handling the gun can be dangerous with that gun.
That's exactly right. And so if you do decide to get a gun, make sure you get trained on it. You wouldn't go out and get a car if you don't know how to drive a car. You can kill somebody that way, right? Same thing with a gun.
I didn't feel that way when I was 15. I knew everything.
But you're better than you were at 15.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Arguably.
So here's another article, quote from the article. Firearms industry data shows sales jumping 50% among black customers, 47% among Hispanics, and 43% among Asian Americans. A lot of this new gun purchases were actually to minorities. Here's another one. Michael Cargill, owner of Central Texas Gun Works in Austin. Quote, my instructors and I became like gun therapists for people who had never had guns before or really didn't like guns. One lady came here in tears with her teenagers, and she said, this goes against everything I believe in, but I need my family to learn how to protect themselves.
Well, many people who are Second Amendment advocates say, look, the police cannot be everywhere all the time.
That's exactly right.
But when you start defunding the police, it magnifies that risk.
Makes it even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the side effects of all the chaos caused by Democrats last year, the lockdowns, the restrictions of liberty, and especially the riots, is that it got a lot of Democrat voters to understand what conservatives have been saying about the right to bear arms all along. And that's a bright spot.
Absolutely.